Live. Well, we're live on TikTok.
You talked all over this, so I'm just leaving it on. Live stream, we're going live now, but you can hear the noise because Joe cannot keep his mouth shut. Inspiration Nation, hello, Lee Kemp here for another week on a podcast. Here we are, a two-man band again with Jose Noya, who absolutely cannot understand the concept of be quiet before we go live. If you want to see all the shenanigans, just follow us, Jose Noya, Inspiration Nation, on YouTube. Hit subscribe. It will tell you when we are going live, and you will be able to see all of the nonsense.
It's great, actually, yeah. Because I was trying to go to TikTok live, trying to merge at the same time. Anyway, yeah. So, Lee, what are we talking about this week then?
I am up this week, Joe. So, we talked about this a few weeks ago, or a few weeks ago in chronology time, and I'd forgotten, Joe, I've actually wrote down a couple of ideas. One, you inspired me on the show, and I remembered my third C of the three C's as well. So I think what I'm going to do, Joe, is I'm going to give you the choice. Do you want to talk about the three C's, or do you want to talk about the return to mindfulness?
Well, I'm thinking return to mindfulness. I don't know why, but
Yeah?
I'm liking it.
Okay, so this is just one of those silly concepts in my head. There's a couple of layers on this, actually. One, well, we touched on it last week. So, or the week we recorded last week, but it might be 2 or 3 weeks ago. I'm all over the show. Too much coffee, not enough coffee. I never know which one it is. Joe just held his Costa cup up there for those not looking on video. So, return for mindfulness. And this is something I realised a little while ago, because you know I've talked about this probably over the last 18 months or so of me getting more and more into the concept of mindfulness and my belief in it and how important it is for things you do in life. And what, you know, there's loads of ways to practice mindfulness, but one of the ways is concentrating on an object, you know, becoming hyper aware of your surroundings. So, for example, I have a pen here. It's quite a chewed pen because I chew my pens. It's a terrible habit. But if I was to really focus on the pen, what the pen looks like, the shape of the pen, the colour of the blue, the fact of the shape of where the lip comes out, the little metal bit here. Doing terrible descriptions, but really focusing on the shape, the texture, everything about it. That's how you slow your brain down, you focus, you get rid of all the noise, and you just bring yourself in on something. And it's a way to bring a moment of calm to yourself. And that's one illustration of it. So I was sitting here in my living room at some point a little while ago, and we were watching a bit of TV, and as part of watching the TV, I started looking at the coving around the top of my ceiling and how it looks, and just really being in that one moment. And as you know, Joe, I've been on a massive mission of decorating, and actually I was thinking that, it's really relaxing in this room, and starting to, you know, take in the surroundings and feeling relaxed. And it triggered in my head, so this is a real mindfulness thing. And then I realised it triggered something else, which was more of a memory. And actually, this behaviour of being very aware of the room and its shape, and I do things like, you imagine, I could change this and put this here, and just, but not like busy, more relaxing and really taking in, again, the shape and everything. I'm labouring on this point a lot. And I remember I used to do that back in my teens when I was at home, family home with my mum, and we'd be watching TV, and I'd do the same sort of thing. And it suddenly clicked that all this mindfulness I strive for now, I used to do it without even realising it was mindfulness. And then things got busier, and life got busier, and stresses came in, and, you know, went through all my journey of various things, and I stopped that habit. And I feel like I've now come back to doing that, but it's almost a byproduct of being more relaxed and comfortable with where I am, I think. And this is why I say it's a return for mindfulness, in that I think I had that. And it wasn't a conscious thing, but I was relaxed enough to be taken in my surroundings. And things happened in life that just brought in stresses, and I stopped doing it. And the stresses took over, and I think as some of that has dissipated over the years, I've started to return to that place that's quite a comforting place. And I don't know if it's comforting because it makes me feel like I used to when I was younger, or if it's comforting because of the mindfulness technique and it does what it says on the tin and I used to do that before. But I just feel like I've got back to a place, if you like, where that's something I've started doing, and I just joined the dots to what is mindfulness. There's a big follow-on to this from that, but I'll pause for a breath on that and see what you think on my bit of self-reflection before we talk a bit deeper.
Yeah,
you look very thoughtful on this one, Jay.
Sorry?
You look very thoughtful sitting there.
Yeah, I just wanted to take it all in because I wrote a few things down when you were because it sort of takes you back to that previous episode that we had on Stephen Covey about the spiritual, and it seems like you're quite naturally spiritual because mindfulness is part of a spiritual practice. But you know, you don't have to believe in anything. You can still do the spiritual practice, and it really works. So, yeah, I love that. And we talked about Stephen Covey, the full circle, the four things: spiritual, physical, etc., etc. If you go back to that episode. But when you were saying about that you did it naturally when you were younger, it's really interesting to me because you triggered a memory for me, which is really interesting. Because I'm thinking when we're younger, is it more natural that we do it? We just hit ourselves, we just get ourselves out of it because we just get involved in striving, I suspect. Because when I've said this to my sister as well, like I want to get back to a place where when I was a kid, I would just go with the flow. I'd have like, I'd want to do such and such, but I would just go with life a little bit, like, and I want to get a bit more of that into my life where it is happening more because, like you say, I'm being more mindful. But I'd like to get back to when I was a child or when I was like in my teens, I would just go, hey, it doesn't really matter. Let's just go with that flow. Let's just go with it. Like change would happen, but I just go, well, let's just go with it, see what happens. Like almost like I'm just open to things, a bit of a carefree attitude to it to see, oh, I'd like to get a bit more of that. Now, the memory that got triggered was when I was playing football, actually, and I was quite young. I was probably about 13. And we played football, and I don't know whether this is mindfulnessly. Maybe you could give me your view. I was playing football. It was like in this local place, and you're playing on this sort of dusty gravel thing back in the day. So it's probably would have been back in the late 80s. Anyway, and I'll be playing football, but then I'd suddenly look up at the lights, the floodlights, and I'd go look at them, and I'd squint, and I'd make the lights like expand. I'd be fascinated by the way the lights would, like do go like a star, and I'd just stand there. And my dad would turn around and he says, "You're meant to be playing football. What are you doing?" But I'd been almost like daydreaming, getting involved in this whole light thing going on, and I wonder whether that's, whether because we get focused on football, we're being told what to do, and we get focused on that. Whether there's a clashing of things where I was naturally being mindful of this light, where I should be playing football, but actually I was more interested in this light thing. I don't know what you make of that, Lee, but that started from that triggered that memory, which is really interesting. And whilst looking at light, I felt really calm. I felt really just in the moment, just being there. But when you go back to the football, you're more in, you're trying to strive, trying to score a goal, you're trying to do things. Whereas just taking that moment out, I actually was more of a daydreamer, more of a looking out the window type person. That
does sound like that whole, the very similar thing. It's very interesting.
So I wonder whether we're wired naturally when we're born to do that, and then we lose it because of what society and things dictate to us and the things we strive for. But anyway, Lee, you're going to carry on.
No, that's good. It's really good views on that. So yeah, that's my restrictive fit. Is I do feel like it just triggered all those thoughts, and I'm in that. Like I said, it's almost that's why it's returned to mindfulness, if you like, and I put that down to having, like I said, stresses, things like that. A period in my life where I was probably more surviving than thriving, so things were more, life stresses, etc., etc., etc. And maybe as things have relaxed more over the years, and other things have fell in place, it's that return to it. So is it the stress that's taken me away from the mindfulness, or is the world just changing? And we touched on this a few weeks ago, but part of the reason that when I was younger, I'd have those same daydreaming moments, shall we say, whatever they are, is you're watching TV and it's probably a repeat of something you've seen 50 times before because there's not that much new content. Or it's the adverts, and you can't skip the adverts because recording live TV isn't a thing. And the adverts are on, so again you drift off a bit. Or it's the programme before the programme you want to see, so it drifts off a bit. Or, computer games and stuff, but there's just not much content. And my phone was not a smartphone because they did not exist. In fact, for a long time, my phone wasn't even a phone because they didn't exist in having a mobile phone. But you didn't then have, oh, let's scroll on this, let's see this, let's look at it. There just wasn't as much going on. And I think that permeated through everything in life. Everything wasn't as instant as it is now. We talked about the whole delivery thing, that now if something takes 2 days, it's a liberty, but you used to wait a month and you wouldn't even bat an eyelid about it. So everything wasn't as instant. The pace of life was slower. And did that allow more space to be mindful because your mind had more time to wander? And now with, deliveries come straight away. I want this, it's here tomorrow. There's nothing, I'm going to scroll through my phone. All this TV's on demand, and there's 10 new shows, and I've never got time enough to watch them all. And is there just less time now because of? And I use the entertainment stuff as an illustration, but it's with everything. And again, we talked about it a few weeks ago. People go back in the archive and listen to it. But is life at such a pace now that there's always something to do or be doing, that you don't have those moments for your mind to drift off so much? And almost in parallel, you could put it on a graph that, I don't know, intensity of life. And then parallel is the need for mindfulness as a concept. As we have less time to be mindful, is that why there's been this increase in mindfulness as a concept and awareness and books and help guides and everything else? Because we need to make sure we retain some of that for our brains that we used to do naturally, and almost a progression of technology has pushed out the space for that. So I realise that's a really broad concept, but a few things we talked about the other week just kind of got my brain thinking on that.
Yeah, I think it's got a lot of value, this. There's a couple of things that I've thought about when you were talking, actually. I agree. Our attention is drawn all the time. Like you said, you never used to have instant live streaming, did you? Now you can get on your phone and you're getting notifications. You've always got something that you could do, right? And get involved in. Because when you play computer games, you get involved, don't you? And you're like in it.
Yeah.
Well, all the time. Even today, when I was going upstairs and I was like looking at my phone, I felt like I'm sucked up into the phone. I was like, hang on, I've got to check out of that and actually look around for a bit, because literally I didn't feel I was in the real world. I felt I was in my phone. Literally I was. If you imagine, this is how now I'm articulating. This is really weird, but when I'm looking at my phone, I'm not really there. I'm in my phone. I'm not there. So when you see people walking on the street, they're not there. They're actually in the phone, because they go, oh, sorry about that, because only when they bump into someone, they wake up, right? It's like a computer game, and you get sucked into that world. Now we are sucked into worlds, and that's where the money is. That's where the attention is. That's why our attention's been drawn, because, like you said, eyeballs before create money, right? So the more people spend time on platforms or whatever, that's what makes money. So we're distracted all the time to look. That's why, do you want to allow notifications? We get a notification, oh, all right. And then you're on to the next thing. And before you know it, the evening's gone. Your brain's not rested, and it's crazy. So a couple of things. I agree with you. I think we just got too much. There was just so much going on that we need to take time out. Like when we were young, Ryan would be having a field day with this. But when we were younger, right? When we were younger, we didn't have any of that. Like you said, you could take the time, and that's why I agree with you. We do need to get back more to that, because the human brain does need that downtime, like it needs its sleep. You need to have those breaks. That's why things like the Pomodoro technique works, like 30 minutes on, 5-minute break. Or you have a break, you go for a little walk and you get a bit of inspiration, right? The same for me. I go for a walk every morning, and I'll literally, my phone will be in my pocket because I've got to take it with me. But I won't be focused on the phone. I'll be just focusing on the trees and the birds or whatever, right? So that will be the focus, and that will be designed for me, so my brain is not engaged. I will not pick my phone out of my pocket. The other thing I do, and Mel Robbins talks about this, is that I don't have my phone in my bedroom, because the brain is still aware it's there and it's still firing even when it's in the bedrooms. That was the science that she was talking about. So I have the phone away from me. It's not nowhere near the bedroom, because I recognise, because when I come off it, I don't know how about you, Lee, but when I've been on the phone for a while, when I'm actually checking, and you're probably better than me, because I've had to learn to sort of, I've told you before, I'm quite extrovert, so I've had to learn to know about how I'm feeling inside through the mental health stuff. I've had to really train myself to how am I actually feeling right now. And sometimes when I get off the phone, because I do social media and stuff like that, I actually feel quite stressed. Like I feel my brain, it actually hurts, even now when I'm doing this podcast, I'm thinking, and we engage, and we've got TikTok. My brain is engaged. It's like working, and so yeah, I feel it's on, and I think that's where the mental health thing. You're on all the time, and you do need to come off that, and actually, that's why Ray Dalio talks about meditation and mindfulness, and like you said about that exercise you do with the pen, that he feels like meditation, like it's going on holiday, like for your brain. It's like, right. And I actually did a bit of that today, to be fair. I felt today, there was quite a lot going on in my day at work. I'm going to take 10 minutes and I'm just going to sit and I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to have a think. I'm just going to take that break. And I'm actually not going to have my phone. I'll put my phone away from me. And I just focused on just doing nothing and just literally focused on my breathing and just doing that. And also, Lee, I did your mindful eating. When I have my break, I am just I sit on my own. I don't have the telly on. I don't have my phone on. I just eat my food and just eat my food without anything. And I can tell you something, that the benefit of that is huge, because you know me, and you do it yourself. You have to communicate with people. We have to deliver messages. Can't be as effective if you're not got your energy. It's really hard, isn't it? That's what I find.
Yes, I agree 100%. And I don't do it regularly enough, I would say, but I do every so often. I'll do the mindfulness, because I'm a nightmare for almost finishing eating and not even realise I've eaten. Not just from the whole, I'm not sure I've eaten anything, I'll eat some more, but just enjoying the food, taking it whatever. And I will really do the same to you, and I'll pull myself back and do that, because...
How many times have we all seen that? Can't get the focus on TikTok, but like we see people eating and they're going like this, and they're going, oh, hang on, let me just check that. And they go scrolling through, and it just, really, they cannot be enjoying their food, right? They're just like eating, they're just shoveling it down. Like you said, really enjoy that. It should be actually quite a nice experience, right? It should be, unless you're doing it for health reasons and some stuff you don't like, right?
Of course.
But then even then, you still appreciate why you're doing it. What's the reason I'm eating this food? It's for nutrition. It's you can still do it, right? You can still, and I think it's a really good practice, honestly. And I make a point of it. Now at the minute we're in a bit of redecoration now. We've got no table or anything, so I used to sit at the table, and I will sit at the table again. I would sit at the table, no distractions, just sit in pure silence, no telly, no radio, nothing, and just sit and eat. And it's amazing. It's really amazing. And when you said that to me, I've really been practicing that a lot. I make that actually, because sometimes I struggle to get meditation practice in.
Yes. That's
my meditation. Because you have to eat. You can't get away from eating. So that is a brilliant practice. And even when you do the pen thing, when are you going to get your pen out? You have to really make a point of it, don't you? I'm working. But eating is something we have to do. So so that's why I've made it into a practice, and it really does work really well. And I literally do not have anything on. So yeah. I don't know if that triggers anything for you, but I'm really leaning into that when you said that. And
I think it's important. It's just like it's being conscious of it. And actually, there's something you did say in that a bit earlier on with, like, we are remembering to be mindful, and we're missing our third man here. But if Ryan was born into the age of content, into the age of screens. So actually, for him, and like for younger generation, certainly for like my kids and stuff, it's not remembering to be mindfulness, it's teaching them to be mindfulness, because there's almost not that opportunity to learn it naturally, because don't get me wrong, this isn't an evil to technology. I think everything we have and the access to it is fantastic. There's just that little 5% of mindfulness you need to build in, I think, to optimise ourselves. And I say that because the second we're done this, Joe, I'll be tidying up a bit, making some dinner, and the very first thing I do is pop in my earbuds and start listening to a podcast. So I am on the content treadmill like everyone else as well, and I love it. But it's just building in those little opportunities as well for yourself, I think.
Well, when you said that about cooking, actually, when I cook, I have on occasions had the phone on and listen to a podcast or a YouTube video. But actually, I've started actually turning it off and just enjoying the cooking as part of the process.
And that's a good way to do it. Absolutely.
Just silence, just pure silence, and actually being So yeah, I do you know what? It's weird you say that, because now you're getting me to recall things that I'm actually doing, which is really strange. I don't always do it when I'm cooking, but sometimes because I want to listen to something inspirational. That's fine, that's good. But I try not to, like that walking, not having any earbuds. That's why again, having earbuds is really tempting, isn't it? Because you can just plug it in. But they're great because you learn on the go, which is fab. But then there's that, where's that time for you to unplug, for you to give your brain a bit of a rest and to recharge and really then hit the next bit of development with gusto. You talking about, people born into screen age, I think you're right. Now, my beloved works in the education industry, with younger children, so reception age, and they actually do some mindful stuff, which is
Oh,
really
really?
good. Yeah, which is a really awesome. And I was saying to my beloved, that's amazing. That is what people need to get from that age and actually practice it, because literally they're like almost like born into the matrix, aren't they? Like they're
Yes.
born into they could be born with a phone in their hand, essentially, because you see so many young children with phones in their hands, and I can't imagine they won't know anything else. Literally, they'll just be knowing this whole thing. My consciousness is in the phone, and Elon Musk talks about he talks about cyborgs and stuff like that. But we are actually he's right. We're already cyborgs, because the phone, we are actually connected to our phones, so we're already doing it. It's not we are. We're using it. We're part of it already. It's not necessarily part of us yet, but it is really, because our consciousness goes into it. We are constantly in it, like a computer game, like VR. Like you said, you got
Yes.
PlayStation 5 VR, right? I think this is such a big thing, and like I could come off this thing now, go downstairs, get on my phone, I'll have no break. I could then go down, watch some TV. There's no break, nothing. There's no nothing. So, when we go on holiday, are we going to take some time for ourselves to just, be with our people that we love, and take the time just to say, let's just part the phones and just like be with each other, and just do nothing, and just be silent, talk, whatever, but just you connecting.
Funny you should say that, Joe. I might have some insight on that in a couple of weeks' time for you, Joe.
Oh, pray tell.
Well, conscious decisions on having a low-tech holiday.
It's great. Yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to do though. It's not easy to do, because
Well,
we're
this
so
is why I'll
tempted.
give you the insight, and we'll tell you how it goes.
Yeah, it'd be brilliant. It'd be brilliant, because that's a perfect opportunity to totally switch up the routines, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'm going away on holiday this year, and my thoughts are, I'm going to hit the gym. I'm going to go some food, but then I'm thinking, when am I going to have that time to actually take in the experience, right? Because if I'm on my phone filming or photoing, I'm not there.
Yeah.
I'm in the phone. I'm looking at it through a lens. So how can we really take it in? Like, so I think, I really want to try. It really reminded me that when I go on holiday, I really need to focus on. Don't put through everything through a phone. In fact, sometimes I've really been conscious. Actually, just tell you one more story. I don't know how much time we've got left.
You're good. Go for one more story.
You all know this. I won a trip to the Wimbledon final. Do you remember?
Yes.
And I was really tempted to get my phone out. Now, there's a couple of things that happened, actually. There was one moment in there when I felt actually quite anxious. And I don't know why I got a bit distracted. And this is the Wimbledon final. This was Roger Federer versus Novak Djokovic. An absolutely brilliant, inspiring match. We had Helena Bonham Carter behind us with Borat, what's his name? Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yeah.
Surrounded by amazing things. And I did get my phone and took a few photos, but I was conscious of what I was watching the match. At one point, I got anxious. I don't know why, but I did. But anyway, cut a long story short, I was really focused on making sure that I didn't use the phone. I took a few photos, but I was conscious of putting it in my pocket and really trying to enjoy the event, the experience. And so I still remember to this day, Novak won, but it was a really good experience. But but even now I look at it, and I don't know why this anxiety came up. Maybe I still don't know for this day. And it should have been an amazing day. And it was an amazing day, but there's still this bit of anxiety, which is a really weird human condition, isn't it? We can have a brilliant time, but still face this brain thing, this human condition. We're having an amazing time, but is it because I blew it up so much that I should be enjoying it? I put pressure on myself to enjoy it. Anyway, this is another conversation, right? But I did make the point of not using the phone and just enjoying the moment.
Which is a good point. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
But I didn't do it perfectly. I'm just trying to say it was not a perfect. Like, although this should have been an amazing moment, it was an amazing, but it wasn't a perfect moment. I don't, there were still things and my brain was still thinking about things. And I think sometimes you're going on a holiday, I'm going on a holiday. We want it to be amazing, but there will be moments in that holiday where you may be thinking, "Oh, I'm not enjoying this as much as I think I would have enjoyed it," or they might exceed the things. But that's the thing. I'm a bit worried about that, to be fair.
I've
got this image
this
of this
is
holiday.
the going with the flow thing you talked about earlier, Joe.
Yeah.
And knowing
Nice point.
that it's all right to get it wrong as well. That's part of it. That is
Go with
part
the
of
flow.
it.
Thank you, Lee, for reminding me. Go with the flow.
That's
actually.
your takeaway from today, Joe. I'm giving you that.
Is that yours or mine? Because I want to take that one.
No, that's yours. In fact, let's share it. That's our shared takeaway.
I really like that, because actually, there is a lot in the mindfulness there, isn't it? Going with the
Yeah.
flow, you know, say the pen thing, the food thing. Do you know what? I think this is really good practice, and do you know what? I'm getting quite inspired by just thinking about. I'm getting a good, almost like that feeling of, oh, this is something that we need to do a lot more of. I still need to do more of it. Still don't do enough of it because literally, because we're involved in social, you know, doing the podcast and everything. We're quite involved in social, aren't we? Again, how do we, you know, get more of it? And thank you everybody for watching on the TikTok and everything. But yeah, go on, Lee. Sorry, I really love this, by the way.
I think this has been a great topic again. It is almost time to wrap us up, Joe. Just
Go on,
need to
then.
thank everyone out in the nation for listening to us and watching us and supporting what we do. We massively appreciate it. If you like what we hear, and tell friends and family, get them listened to. That is the number one way that we grow. Also, if you're new, get back in the archive, look all the way through, whatever you're on, YouTube or podcast players, all our episodes there, 4 years plus worth of content now. Hit subscribe, hit the 5-star button, leave a review. All of that helps us in those mythical algorithms. And just follow us on social media at Listen to IN, Listen TOIN, and Joe is Jose Noya-Inspiration Nation. Well, everywhere. Just stick it in Google, you will find him. Follow us on YouTube and TikTok, and you'll be able to join us live each and every week as we record, except for the next 2 weeks because we've stuck some in the can.
Interesting things on TikTok, actually. David Tennant. I don't know whether they think I look like David Tennant. And do I like microwaves? I've got no idea. But anyway,
I do, by the way. I would say I do like microwaves.
Do you? Do you know what? And there's 219 likes, but I was really, when you were talking about microwaves, I was really trying to, instead of being really, sometimes I look at TikTok and I'm trying to really focus on you in this particular moment. So I need to do more of that, because sometimes I get distracted. You know, you get distractions with TikTok. Oh, you're trying to engage with that, but actually,
It's
I think
the life of a social media superstar. Joe.
But we've got to be more mindful, haven't we? We've got to be more focused and engaged. And I talk about this in my coaching. So I think the thing is, I'm not going to check the TikTok so much because I'm going to focus on the conversation and you much more. Yeah, I do focus it, but more so, like more intensely. Like when you said to me, you look really thoughtful. I think, was it this one or the last one?
No, that was this one.
I was making a concerted effort to really focus on you. So more of that is going to be using. So yeah, I love this, by the way.
Brilliant.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you for indulging more of my self-reflective thoughts and where it leads us. This was another good topic. Hopefully everyone enjoys it. Again, if you like it, engage with us on social media, leave reviews, all that positive stuff helps us. And inspirationnation.org.uk, merchandise, newsletter, archive, all that good jazz. We appreciate everyone. And I'll count us down. 3, 2, 1. Inspiration Nation.
Inspiration Nation.
Catch you
guys later. Thanks, Lee. Right, send this.